Oh, good Lord, it's back again, the old hairy beast himself. On my usual Facebook posts and also on YouTube's. If people would recognize the old fart here, the old 54-year-old landlocked fart named Weaver John C. of Roseman, California. How you doing? I was doing pretty well, and this is going out to the travel agents that I'm subscribed to because I want to keep track of what's going on with the cruise agencies. I want to keep track of what's going on with the cruising world. I had a story to tell them. A long time ago, when just a little after 9/11 hit, we actually didn't have the COVID-19 scare. We weren't wearing masks, and we were definitely not doing social distancing. A mother who worked at a job, tax preparation and bookkeeping. My mother was good at her job. She had a lot of clients. One of the clients was a travel agent who worked at Bull Rush Travel Agency out in the San Fernando Valley somewhere. Never remembered his last name. It kind of sucked, but I remember his first name was Jerry. Nice gentleman. And very eccentric too. He was a Disney fanatic, and he was also a cruise fanatic. But the one cruise line he never could quite get used to and never liked was Carnival Corporation, including the Carnival ships that they had out here on the Los Angeles side, the West Coast. We had several companies running out here. We still have a few. At this date, we have, I don't know how many, but Carnival Corporation still runs them. Not to mention, we have Norwegian Cruise Line. We have the Princess Cruises. We have the Carnival Cruises. Before the COVID-19 and before CDC and CLIA shut everybody down, they were doing the Mexican runs. And the turbulent history regarding Mexico with the drug cartels battling it out from one area to another area had interfered with the tourists, had interfered with the tourism like crazy, that Royal Caribbean decided to pull out of the area. Before they had pulled out of the area, my brother and I were recipients of a gift from that travel agent. My mother had saved him a bunch of money, and he awarded the family 2 cruises. My mother and a friend of hers had a 10-day Mexican Riviera run, unfortunately on board the Sun Princess, but they actually had a ball on her. The first time I actually seen a cruise ship up close, and I drooled. I wanted to go, and I never had the chance and never had the opportunity. But I would get my chance the next month afterwards. On board Royal Caribbean's Monarch of the Seas, before they shipped her out, before they sold her off. But she was a class act. At first I thought she was the ugliest damn ship I'd ever seen. Next to the Sun Princess with her nice clean white bow, pointy and shiny, and saying, "Come race with me." I got style, I got class. I'm looking at the Royal Caribbean, I'm like, oh great, it's nothing but schlubs and schlebs. Now what do I do? We're schmucks on here. We're going to be fitting fine, I guess. We did more than fine. We did more than fine. My brother and I had never taken a cruise before. Our first and only cruise together. A 3-day stint to Ensenada and back. We get to the Windjammer Cafe after we checked on and went for lunch. While we're looking at the POW from the 4 windows, we're looking at the docks. My brother was a big Red Skelton fan. He grew up with the comedies and the comedians of the time who were classic and golden aged. He was well versed in the comedians. And he educated me on a lot of them. One of which we listened to a great deal was Red Skelton. Especially when we had the two seagulls. Apologize for that brain fart there. Heathcliff and Gertrude. Red Skelton had did this comedy routine a great deal, but sometimes I just can't find the right material for this, and I was trying to find the skit for this. They'd just never been able to do that, but somehow on a comedy radio they did. And we listened to it before we went to the Port of Los Angeles, or actually during the trip to the Port of Los Angeles on the freeway, we're listening to the comedy radio, and we're listening to Red Skelton, and we're having a ball. And the skit stayed with us to when we were at the edge of the Windjammer's windows, looking down, leaning on the safety bars. We're seeing two dock workers in a dinghy working on equipment. Now, we also had other people, several other passengers gathering around us, wondering how come we're looking down there. Dave and I are smiling at each other. It was a golden opportunity right there. We did not fail. So David goes, Heathcliff, yeah, Gertrude? What do you see down there? Oh, I don't know. What do you see down there? Two dinghies in a dinghy. Paraphrase it. It's priceless. It was momentous. It knocked everybody out for a loop. They're laughing their heads off for the ones that got the joke. And that was most of the crowd right there. It must have been about 10 people laughing their asses off. And some of the staffers were like... Some of the people had to educate the staffers and other passengers what was going on. And we're seeing this go. Dave and I, it was just the start of our vacation right there. Just that one little act, that comedy act, set the whole thing up for us to enjoy our 3-day stint on board the ship. I miss my brother. He passed away in 2018 in September. So if I happen to go on a cruise ship again, it'll be never again with him except in memory, or probably his face on a shirt, along with my mother. Not the one I'm wearing right now. But I have the pictures, limited as they are, precious and few. I may yet make a video of the cruise, and if I can find one, I will somehow post it on YouTube. It has music that is copyrighted, and I'll have to put out the copyright information on YouTube so I don't get my ass dinged. But still, the ship itself, small, quaint, friendly staff, was a perfect opportunity to have two guys enjoy their first cruise. It wasn't big, it wasn't bustling, except in the pool area. We stayed at other portions of the deck. We stayed at a bar and we drank sodas and tea, both recovering alcoholics. We looked outside the viewports from the schooner's bar, and we were on the sea. To my brother, it was almost no big deal because he was wondering if I was going to get seasick or not. And I said, no, I'm not getting seasick. The ship was stable enough, the waves were calm enough that it was a pleasant cruise. And every once in a while, you would know the ship was on the sea because you'd feel it. And it was a subtle thing that if you didn't pay attention to it, you weren't aware of it, and it was fine. And my brother wasn't aware of it. He just got his sea legs. He was worried I was going to get seasick all that time. I said, no, I wasn't. If the seas got choppy enough, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have. It wasn't my first time on a boat. I've been on a sailboat before as a young kid. I got my sea legs during that time, the hard way. But on a cruise ship going between the port of Los Angeles to Ensenada and back, there was not that much time and not that much problems, and no seasickness and no norovirus. And they still had that going from time to time, but not on board this ship. Not this time. I was saddened that Royal Caribbean had pulled out of the market, because it meant the only ship I fell in love with was gone, except in memories and in pictures. And she was a fine cruise ship. I hadn't been on any other cruise ship since. They got Grand Galactic cruisers out there that sail the sea. And all I wanted was something small, personal, and intimate. Because then I could sail the seas and just feel like I'm part of it. In a cruising situation, that's what I look for. I mean, yeah, people are partying, harding, and drinking and laughing merrily at the point well before the COVID virus struck. I mean, party hardy. I wasn't interested in the party hardy. I was interested in a small, quiet section of the ship every once in a while and just enjoy the ambiance, enjoy the sea, enjoy the trip and the experience. See, it wasn't a destination you look forward to, it's the experience along the way. And when you're a first-time cruiser and you're getting on board these big ships, they're intimidating as hell because you've got a lot of people on here. Before the COVID virus, it's like a push comes shove. Sometimes a lot of people, and other times you can try being polite, and other times you don't be polite. But they encourage people to be polite enough. And there was polite enough people on board the Royal Caribbean, passenger and crew. So back then, back in 2003, I commended them. And I miss it. I also miss the ice blended mochas on it. I can get very addicted to those things. Simply, you'll see the prices are like $6 to $7 a pop. I was glad enough the credit card was actually able to take care of it. We were paying the cruise off for about a month. The incidental charges. That's what got to us. The cruise itself was already paid for. It's everything else that you had to keep paying for. Still, it was well worth it. And I'm hoping that the coronavirus will be at a stage where we can actually come back to cruising again. Modified it may be, I'd still like to go back on a ship. We may not have the buffets, we may have like restaurant style again. I don't care. A lot of people look forward to the buffet so they can pick out. That's fine. And if the buffets happen to turn into a restaurant where they're handing you the food and you need to sit down, that's fine too. That's a cafeteria style. Hey, no problem with that. I'll deal with the cafeteria any day. Cafeteria on the sea. But I want to look, and I want to stand at the bow again. And I want to feel the ship on top of this. I want to be on the top deck. Not where everyone else is at the quarter area, but at the bow. I want to see the ship go up and down in directions like crazy. I want to feel her at the keel. I want to feel those waves. I want to smell the action again. I want to smell the sea spray. There's something about cruising that some things you just can't put into words because it's an experience unlike others, but you're landlocked all the time. It's a rare thing. If you're working on the water all the time and it's almost commonplace and you're used to it. I've been landlocked for a hell of a long time, and I'm dying to get back out there again. It would have been nice if I was actually able to be rich enough to be affording a cruise cabin for the rest of my life. Of course, I could say, well, I want to just buy myself a damn yacht and live on one. So screw that noise. Or live on a cruise ship. I'd rather live where the neighborhood action is on the water. It's like living in an apartment complex on the water, sailing between different areas. You look outside your viewports and you see, not your neighbors, but you see the water, and you see the constant motion. And it means something. It means adventure. It means you're untethered. You're boundless. There's something romantic about cruising. There's something romantic about sailing. Sailors don't look at it as romantic. They look at it as work. The sea demands everything. The sea wants everything. And you have to keep paying the price. And when you hear the siren calls, it's very difficult, even when you're landlocked, to ignore them, especially when you came close to them first time. So I'm hoping maybe that when the cruise ships are allowed to sail once more, and if I'm able to have the time and the money, I'll go back out there again. It's kind of hard when you're on limited incomes, but it's well worth saving it just to get the experience all over again. I mean, hell, I'd rather take a cruise ship over a damn trip over to Disney World. Disney World is too complicated. Cruise ship isn't. It's simple. Anyway, I thought I'd share these thoughts with you folks. I hope one day I'll be utilizing your services, my travel agent friends out there, when the time is right and we're able to go cruising once more, even with masks or without masks. King Neptune calls for us all to attend, and we cannot disobey him. We are the minions of the land, but we are servants of the sea. It is in our blood, it's in our nature. It is in our soul, our spirit, and our minds. We came from water, we go back to water. I may not have been able to serve in a military on the sea, but I'm more than willing to go back to the sea regardless. Until then, fair winds and following seas.